Good evening. My name is Tanya. Welcome to the chat. Our after hours question this evening is gender equality a crucial component of relationships between a husband and a wife, since this model allows for each of the spouses to take their share of responsibilities and be flexible in their choice of family roles? Do you believe that women should do the same things that the man does? Like pumping gas or changing a tire, for example? So for me, I love the idea of getting help from a man, but I don't also want to rely on help from a man. Does that make sense? I was a single mom most of my life, and there wasn't a man around to change the tire or change the oil. I had to learn how to do those things myself. And there is something liberating about stepping into my power around that and bringing out my power tool and building things or taking things apart. But I have to admit, I've had a boyfriend for a couple of years now. It's nice to hand that over and say, you know what? I don't want to do this. Will you help me with this? And so liberation aside, I'm wondering how you ladies feel. Who's next?
But would you sit in a car, like say your boyfriend would be sitting in a car, would you pump the gas?
I have many times.
Really? Okay. I mean,
Why can't who's ever comfortable doing whatever it is that needs to be done just do it?
really.
Why does it have to be anything specific?
Well, sometimes it has to be, like, otherwise you wouldn't get anything
But then
done.
I'm not married, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like Tanya's response on it. I want to be liberated doing things. For example, recently my daughter moved over to Montreal to go to school, so I went to help her set up. There was no man around. It was just her and I. But boy, it was good to set up home, to drill holes, to put things together. We felt so accomplished. Like, it was amazing. It was like, we got this. Who needs a man? Right? But on the other hand, when you have a home and you have things to do and you don't want to take the garbage out or you don't want to change the tires, that's what they're for.
I think yeah, Tanya's right there. It's your capability of doing something. I think it's really necessary to be independent and capable of doing everything that you can do, and also know your limits and where you outsource. But when you're in a couple, I don't know if gender equality is necessarily the right word. I think because, like, what is gender equality in a couple? Every couple is very different. Everyone has very different roles in their family. I think of myself as a very, forward thinking, like I'm a business owner and everything. But if you look at my roles at home, I have very traditional roles. I cook all the meals. I, do a lot of the very traditional mom things. But I am perfectly capable of putting up shelving, or actually I do that a lot all the time. I build the furniture because I'm too impatient to wait for my husband to do it. And growing up, I did that all the time with my dad. So I'm perfectly capable of doing it, and I will just do it. And some people are surprised by that, and I think that's really shocking. But I don't think gender equality is necessarily important in those roles, but it's between the couple. How do you split the role? I think that's really important. That's second part of the question about how do you share responsibilities, and are you happy sharing the responsibilities that way? For instance, I've never cleaned the toilet in the 14 years I've known my husband.
Oh.
Just so you know, he does the cleaning because I cannot clean, and when I do, he's like, I gotta do this again. He doesn't love it, so we outsource whenever we can. But in our home, I've never cleaned a toilet. I've barely wiped a counter because that's just not what I want to do, and that's our agreement.
Interesting.
I can't say I had that luxury. Okay, when I was married, I took on the real traditional role. I did the cooking, the cleaning, taking care of the kids, running the errands, planning the celebrations, kids' activity. I did it all. Don't know how I did it, but I did it all. But yes, he did all the outside work. He did all the fix-it things, like the man stuff, right? So when we split and I was on my own, I had to learn how to change a doorknob. I already knew how to check my oil and pump gas because my dad said I had to learn because he would never show up if I ran out of gas anywhere. So gas is always very important. Sorry, Gita, I pump my gas. And and last summer for the first time, I power washed.
No, you don't have to pump your gas. There is full service.
I was gonna say I don't pump my gas. I go to pro service.
I still get out. I'm impatient. I still get out, and I want to make sure they fill it all the way up. Okay. Anyways, so last summer I power washed for the first time, and I had a blast doing it because it's the first time I'd ever done it. Yeah, I had to call my sons and the construction guys working on the house next door. There's something wrong. The power's not working. The cord's not working. What's going on? So they came and fixed it.
They told you to plug it in.
It wasn't plugged in.
So I did power wash, and I found it very liberating. It was an accomplishment. Do I want to do that all the time? Hell no. But it was fun knowing that I can do it. And like Becca, I don't think there's such a thing as gender equality. I think it's how you split up the roles in your home and who you're with. So I don't know. We're all capable. That's the thing. We're all capable. But who's to say who does it better than the other? But yes, I have clean toilets. So I was the only one. I taught my kids. I have taught my kids.
Yeah, when I think about in my house, when I think about gender equality, it's more about like, well, I have young children, as you guys all know, but my husband takes care of the children as much as I take care of my children. And sometimes he actually go pick them up and go to the park and, does the things. He'll cook as much as I cook. I think it's more about being both of us hands-on on everything. That's the way I see it. And, it's not everyone that has a situation like this. Sometimes the father has to travel, let's say, cannot be at home as much. So every family is different. You do what works for you. But I think it's not only one person that has to do the garbage and the other person has to change the diapers.
I agree 100%. I have a saying at my house: we all contribute to the well-being of this household. And I repeat this on a regular basis. We all contribute to the well-being of this household. Now, I live in a very traditional household. I have a husband. He does all the guy things, but every year I pressure wash my house because I find pressure washing super satisfying. When you see the dirt come off. Generally, we are very traditional. However, whenever I'm out of town for work, my husband steps in and does the role of both in a heartbeat, and he is capable of doing it. And vice versa for me. When he goes away, I am more than capable of stepping in and playing both roles. So I think often if there are conflicts in families and relationships, is perhaps just maybe one of the spouses is too critical of the other spouse, and maybe they don't like the way they do things. I have very managed expectations. I expect my 11-year-old and 13-year-old to clean my kitchen. Sometimes they blow me away. Sometimes I'm really disappointed and I call them back. But ultimately, I expect everybody in my house to contribute to the well-being.
Okay.
I like that.
Becca,
I like that. I like that. Mine is Molly May doesn't live here.
Like Becca, my husband and I established things when we first got married because neither of us had lived on our own before or with anyone else besides our parents. And there's certain things that were done for him as were done for me. But then we're here together. And I was actually surprised at the things that he took on and like that have stuck all this time. Like I don't sweep the floor. I don't know why. I hate sweeping the floor, right? But it's like you said about the toilets. It just doesn't happen, right? And if it does, it's never enough. Like he'll redo it, Becca. Like you said.
Oh wow!
But
Stephanie, buy a Dyson. It'll be the end of your trouble of that one. Cordless Dyson.
Just getting those things, like you said, like established, but also like as time goes on, like I do get impatient. There's things I do more just because like I want it done. And like you said, I'm the one to put up shelves and all that kind of stuff, right? And I don't think there's really any I think about these it's not like I have a list of like blue jobs and pink jobs. This needs to get done for the good of the household, for the good of the family, and that's where we have our daughter come in and like we all have to pitch in, right? So That's what we
You
are.
have to understand too, there's also certain families, there's a little bit of cultural differences.
Mhm.
So in my culture, yeah, the woman plays the cleaning and cooking and all that. With my husband, is totally different. So every time something breaks, he goes, sorry, I don't know how to do it, hire someone. So it's all I lived.
Perfect.
Cleaning, I hire someone. Fixing something, I hire someone. I hire someone for everything. Because if he doesn't want to do it, why should I do it? I don't think so. I'm a queen. I don't step down. I just delegate.
Yeah, I would be in trouble if gender were the basis of the job division in the household. Being a female household, yeah. So, but and it's funny because people will often ask, well, if you've got two women who are together, who is the mother and who is the dad? Because they assume that one has to be one and one has to be the other, and sometimes it's just not. And yes, we divide roles, we divide jobs just by what each of us is, like you said, good at or comfortable with. But yeah, it has nothing to do with gender, because that would put us in a really hard spot.
I agree with Kimi. In my relationship, I've been married for 25 years. I come from a traditional background, but in my experience, it's not about gender. It's about the situation. And when I started, we were a team, and we have two boys. One will take one, and the other one, and they are growing, and our roles change. We immigrate, so now he's a big provider. I stay home, but in Mexico, I was working like him. So I think it depends on the situation and what the relation is needing at the time. But also my husband, he don't know how to fix things. He was not used to in our own country. So I agree. But if it's necessary, we will do it, because we are that couple that we support, and we will ask support, or we can hire somebody. But it's not really like a gender, but I really like the help from my husband and for my boys at home, for sure. And I think that equal participation that you were mentioned is good. So that is the good, and good family communication make everything simple.
I think that for me, I like what Tanya had to say, because my husband knows that I'm a princess. So if it rains, I'm going to be very honest. So this is what this is all about. If it rains, he knows to bring the car around, so I don't have to walk in the rain. He knows to get me an umbrella. My husband does all the cleaning. I know I'm sounding super privileged. I know he does a lot of the cleaning, but I do love doing the bathrooms. It's just a thing I do. And yes, I've pressure washed before, but I'm sorry. But if him and I are driving and I'm driving and I pull up to a gas station, I don't even have to ask. He gets out of the car and he pumps gas. And it's just not, I mean, that's great. But, and I've pumped my own gas. Do I like it? No, because it's a service, and that's not my love language. Okay. At the end of the day, I still believe that there are certain roles, like there's just certain things physically I could not do. They're just physical things I cannot. I don't know how. I did change my tire one time, because one time, like, you're in the middle of nowhere, I had a spare tire. I had to freaking learn, or I'm not getting home. So when push comes to shove, I don't want to rely, but it sure is damn nice to have somebody around that can do it. And that's how I'm going to end this talk.
I agree with you, Kat.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.